Okay. So, we should be live. Alrighty. So, it's almost 4:30, and I had a couple of likes. Hopefully, it looks a little better. And I posted the items. So we do chicken cacciatore. I had chicken thighs I purchased in the where I went last week and put them in the freezer. So they're out of the freezer. I thawed them in the microwave. I used the auto thaw. I forgot to take them out. Or, so even if we are just working from a refrigerator freezer raid, go ahead and get whatever you can. So I had chicken thighs with the intent of braising or roasting them. So the other day I thought, how about chicken cacciatore? Because I had peppers and onions that we received from Simos Produce last Friday, I think it was. So I've got peppers and onions. I had those. I already had the tomatoes. So that's how I came up with what I'm going to do. I've been trying to keep some chicken stock, vegetable stock, things like that on hand. And like most of you, we're trying to shop once a week. And with the Simos, it's going to extend my probably shopping a few extra days. And but it was a really good deal. $80 got us a lot of produce. Orange juice, a half gallon of milk, half gallon of juice, a pound of butter, a bunch of fruit and vegetables, all high quality. The tomatoes that came in it were awesome. They actually tasted like tomatoes. So that was really good to know that we have a local produce company that's willing to do something like that. And I think the word on the street is they might continue to do it down the road. So with the braised chicken, I'm going to do it on top of the stove again in the casserole. I have the oven on, but that's because I'm going to make these lazy damn apple tart, if you will. So often when I braise stuff, I'll start on the stove top and then I'll finish in the oven so I can kind of forget about it. With the heavy cast iron pan, it does make things a lot easier. So I don't know how this is going, but my camera woman is here now. So maybe this camera over here will follow me a little better also. All right? So, and I'll do a little mise en place in a second. So the other thing is the apple that we purchased crust like 2 weeks ago. This is good. We were wondering how long it was going to last. I think it's good to, what did we say, June or July. All right? So it's out of the freezer, out of the refrigerator. Keep it in the refrigerator until you use it. So that's the kind of thing you can add to your shopping list to help you down the road when you want to do something fun, different. We were thinking actually when we purchased this, I think chicken pot pie, and then because we got a green apple, red apple, I can't read without my glasses on, and 2 pears. So I'm going to use 2 pears of the 2 apples, peel and cut those up. We're going to cook them in a saute pan, and then eventually we'll make a free-form tart. Let go on the parchment paper that I have here, and that will allow us then to go in the oven and bake it.
Joe Childs.
What? Oh, that's a text message. All right. So I first want to get my vegetables cut and ready to go for the chicken. And I'm going to put my pan on also so that starts warming up. I'll brown the chicken, I'll take it out of the pan, then I'll put the vegetables in. So the pan is on, getting hot. I have my utensils, like I usually do, I have some utensils out, ready to go. Does extra light seem to help? You can't tell? Whatever. All right. So for the chicken, let's do a little salt and pepper on it. And you could use a pair of tongs that I will put these back in there now to turn everything so I don't have to wash my hands a lot. All right, and I'm doing this over here. I probably would do it on one of the sides. I'm just trying to keep everything in the area. So I'm going to salt and pepper it, and then I'll turn it over and I'll do some more on the other side. And I have a little dry herbs. I'm using herbs Provence because it's easy. You can use, if you like, a little rosemary, thyme, what you might call your typical kind of Mediterranean dried herbs, right? dog has to be right here. I almost stepped on their foot. It's got to be in the show. And again, I'll go through and look later on to see if there are any comments that I want to respond to. I use a blend. This one's Kirkland's, not extra virgin olive oil. Sometimes I'll get a 10% oil. I think at work, PFG carries a brand that now does 59, 41. I think 41 olive oil. I can't remember which way it goes. All right. So I'm letting the oil get hot. I'm going to brown the chicken, and I'm going to take it out and hold on to it. The chicken's not going to be all the way cooked, so I'm going to put it back on the same container. That'll make another container dirty. All right. And I want this to brown. I've got three thighs. I looked like 4 when I purchased. It was 1 1/3 pounds, so that should be just about enough for 4 people. 1.5 pounds, I think, is what I put on the recipe for you as well. Okay. Don't overload. So I've been seeing some of my students overloading their pans when they're doing their braises. If I overload it, I don't get that nice sear color. And the only reason I'm browning it is for flavor and color, right? So if I overload it, it's going to not allow the steam out, and so we are not going to get the finish that we want, which is a nice brown, caramelized color and lots of wonderful flavor that we'll get from that as well. Should have put this on a little bit. I think I mentioned this last week. You can always put it on without the fat, and that'll help expedite things as well. Okay, I see a little smoke. I'm going to put the skin side down first. The other thing sometimes I'll try to do, and I like to move the fat around a little bit, I'll try to use a higher sided pan when I'm sauteing when I can. It helps keep the fat, the oil from splattering so much on the countertop and around us. The camera woman is getting much better at this. All right, so we'll let this brown nicely, and then we'll remove it, and then I'll add the cut vegetables. If you have to go do those now while that's cooking, and I don't think I'll turn it down just a little bit so we don't burn. All right. Normally I would do all this first, but I wanted to get going with 434. I wanted to get going as well. All right, so I already washed my vegetables. I think Chef Ansel likes as well, the Hunt tomatoes. I usually try to keep a couple cans of those kicking around. Sometimes I get them that have a basil in it also. They're the ones that taste the most natural. So I already washed the outside. I cut around the sides like that, and then I pull the core out, try to keep as much of the pepper together. I'm going to do 1 pepper for this pan. If I feel like I wanted more, it's up to you, whatever you like. Want more onion, more peppers. I actually have another pepper. I just don't like the quantity. So you can see I'm keeping a nice dip down. My cutting board doesn't move on me. And but if it did, I would probably put a wet towel in the bottom to help keep it from moving. So I'm doing about medium to large size. You don't need it to disappear. If you make it too small, it will cook much quicker and might start breaking down more than you would like into your sauce. Okay? Okay. I'll cut the onion about the same. Again, the quantities are just suggestions. Your flavor, what you like in your house is the way to go. Okay? And I think I talked about the fat. I take first or second layer of the onion peel off. That way it allows me to, what happens if I don't take that next layer sometimes, it just gets tough. You've all had that where it feels like you're eating a piece of paper almost, right? And remember we talked about picking up the knife and holding it like this, gives it a little more control. Now at school I talk about not using bowls too much, but I don't have an option here. The bowls are the way we're going. I'm going to go back over here. We're going to check on the meat a little bit more. So what I might do is I'm rotating it in the pan. Yep. And my burner tends to get hotter over here for some reason, so I'm going to switch the pan around as well. All right, we'll go back and cut some more vegetables. So I've got my peppers and onions ready to go. I'm going to do some garlic. Some of it can have like more than others. Probably next time just keep open up instead of forcing. I don't know if it likes it or not. I moved too quick on the camera. Alright, so I give it a tap or two, and it should pretty much almost come right out. Also, if any of you are restaurant managers, operators, putting together a group to kind of get ourselves organized for reopening the new environment that we now have after not after, actually, we're still during, right? This pandemic that we're going through. So I've got about 10 chef managers now signed up. It's free. I'm just doing it because I feel like it's something I need to do. And we're going to go back to the chicken. I like that. I'm going to turn it over. That one I'm going to leave down a little bit. And I like that as well. So we'll turn that one over. Go back and I'll mince the garlic. And you can make this as fine as you like. Some people like it a little more coarse. I'm making slices of the garlic and I'm going to leave it that way. I think on there I put on the website for the dinner. Alright, so because I just did garlic and onions on this side, I'm going to give it a quick wipe and I'll flip it over so I can do the apples. Add some clean soapy water. I like to rinse it off a couple times. And I'll wipe it. And later on I let this dry. Alright, the pears and apples. Check the chicken before we get very good. That's nice and crisped up. That one looks pretty good. I'm going to turn it over. Going to give the other ones a half a turn. We'll go back over here. And we're going to peel the apples and pears. So give me a green spit. Chilean something. Red delicious. Okay. So I think when I peel before, I like to do the top of the vegetable or fruit first. Somebody asked me last week why would I grate the carrots. I don't like carrots that aren't peeled carrots. I don't like the peel left on carrots. That's my personal preference. Yes, if you're trying to get more nutrients out of it, clearly the peel on there is good. Apple peels, though, to me, I don't think you get much other than the fibers going through it, helps keep it nice and tidy inside. I feel like the pears might be a little riper than the apples, so I go to saute them. I will first probably start with the apples, and then a few minutes later add the pears. So check the chicken out. A little bit longer, making a lot of noise. Making a lot of noise here. I have to remember to slow down or figure out how to change the speed. And, I haven't seen anybody lately make a comment on Facebook. I guess I can't get it to work with that app to go to Instagram. So I haven't seen anybody talk about anything else they would like done. So I'm basically going to cut around the core. I'll save this for later. Dog and I will finish it. And actually the liquid feels kind of ripe as well. You notice I'm cutting a flat side and then I'm putting first slice I put that flat side down. Makes cutting it a little easier. cut this however you like. I wrote slice, so I'll kind of slice it about 1/4 inches. Go back and check the chicken. Oh yeah, that looks good. All right, looking good. I like that. I like that. We'll leave that here. I'm going to grab the onions and peppers and we'll put those in the pan. And we'll cook them until they're soft. Pan is nice and hot. If I wanted to, I can put the lid on. That allows me a little extra time while I'm prepping. Like I said, normally I would try to do all this before I start cooking. I like to do it so you can see how I'm working on these things. All right, so we got, let me do this. That's the harder apple, I'll start with that one. And then the pear, we're going to delicious, a little softer. And depending on how warm the chicken is will also determine how quickly it does or doesn't cook. Like I said, I use the frost sensor on the microwave. If you don't have that, just do it for like a 2-minute time. You just break, turn it, rotate it, break the pieces apart, and put it in for another 2 minutes. Seems like every 2 minutes works until you get it to where it's nice and soft. Even if it starts cooking a little bit in the microwave, don't worry about it. But you don't want to microwave it and then put it back in the refrigerator. That's not good. All right, too much of a risk of having an issue with that later on with bacteria and foodborne illness, right? So keep things clean and tidy.
And it's okay to stick it back on that.
Because that's raw. So right now this is not cooked. I'm not serving it. I'm still going to cook more. So I have plenty of opportunity here. So once I get this all in there, then I'm done with this utensil and pan. So I was okay. I said that earlier. So we're okay putting the chicken that's not cooked. It's brown. It had raw chicken on it. It's not an issue yet. And it won't be an issue the way we're working. Okay. So we're open up the pan carefully. Let the steam go away from me. When I have a lid on, it's clearly going to have steam and water, so you want to do that away from you. All right. All right, we'll turn that down a little bit. And then eventually we're going to add the garlic and a little white wine broth and tomatoes. Bring it to boil, turn it down to a simmer. We'll cook that until it's tender. I think on the recipe I noted that some people put flour on their chicken, so I did not. I tend not to use flour first for most things that we traditionally would have. That started years ago when more and more people that are gluten-free are showing up. So this way I know that at least this is gluten-free. Clearly this isn't a vegan dish, but it is gluten-free. All right, so let's put some heat. I don't think I need that pan. I'll put a little heat on this pan. And we're going to put some butter in here. 2 tablespoons-ish. Okay. It's dessert, all right? Butter, sugar, all those goodies. So we made a little olive bread today with sourdough. And, did you got okay?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's take another look. So that's heating up. Once that gets melted, I'm going to add some brown sugar and granulated sugar to it. Let that kind of dissolve. Then I'll add the fruit, and then we'll cook the fruit till it's tender. We'll lay it out, let it cool off, and then we'll build the tartlets. We might get everything done. The other thing too is, so this chicken dish, it's good on pasta. Be good on rice. It'll be good by itself. A couple slices of bread, it'll be delicious. So whatever you're in the mood for, if you need or want a starch, go for it. And I'm going to let the vegetables cook a little longer. They're still pretty hard. They're firm. I don't care about some color in here, clearly. Alright, so I'm going to grab the sugar. And I have some ginger, cinnamon, and allspice. Whatever kind of apple pie spice you like, use it. Reggie made some really delicious, I always check one extra time. Once or twice in my life, I grabbed what I thought was paprika, and it was cayenne. So also, even when you're using something like cayenne, don't do it over the pan. Do it somewhere else, especially something like that, because we tend to use more than we need. And you don't want more cayenne. And we really like ginger under apple tartlets. We used to make these almost daily, a little differently with puff pastry in the restaurant. Simple dessert to do. We used to slice the apples really thin and kind of fan them.
Did you want almonds?
No. Somebody else wants almonds. All right, I'm going to add the garlic to this. Oh, and I'm coming back, don't worry. And I got my... Oh no, Reg.
Oh my goodness, was I in it the whole time?
Nah, who knows?
When I was over there? Let's see.
So that's the garlic. Okay, this is a clean. I think I need more, a little more. So I just want to get this milky. I put the rest of the butter in. Okay. You're going to add the fruit. Get that harder apple in first for a minute. Check our garlic in here. I can smell the garlic. I'm going to lay in the chicken. I'm going to give it a splash. Can you hand me the wine? I had a splash of wine. I don't know what I put up on my list. So put some wine in. I got some chicken stock. Tomatoes. Chicken stock. And tomatoes. I'll just wait for it. And we'll add the other rest of the fruit. Just making sure my handle doesn't get hot. So the meat is practically covered, which is a good thing. And it's almost to a boil. I'll put this on. I'll put it on high for a second before I move it around. And this is going to go over here. I'm coming to your right. Okay, going back. If you're not good at like doing that, another thing you do is put your spoon in the middle. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit on that. Can you hand me that lime behind you, please? I'm going to squeeze a little lemon juice or lime. I happen to have a lime open. This had no chicken in it. Okay. And we'll check in here. We're almost to a full boil all the way around. I'm going to start turning the heat down. Eventually, I want that to simmer. We're going to cook it till fork tender. If it's not ready in 30 minutes, then I'll show a picture of it, later on. Okay. Should have added the lemon juice a little earlier, so it kind of makes it like a sauce. And let's check. Okay. Turn it down a little bit more. And the more even and smaller the bubbles are, but plenty of bubbles. It can't boil, and I don't want it to not move. I want to see bubbles in the liquid. That allows it to cook more evenly as well. And this big pot will allow it to cook more evenly. I do have room in the oven, but I'll leave it on top. Yum. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to put them in a pan to cool. Put them in a pan to cool, and I'm going to go right back over here. Taste. Alright, so we're gonna let that cool. Those. And let's just check our chicken. There we go. So, we got some bubbles. It's a little noisy, so I'll turn it down. You can put a few red pepper flakes, again, depending on how you like it or not. I'll be careful because I was told last week the lentil soup is a little spicy. Okay, a couple bay leaves. And I'm going to add just a little bit more of the dry herbs. And I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more. This pan, the heavier the pan, the less heat. Once it gets going, then you need to keep it there. All right. I also have a little bit of this cherry concentrate. And I'm going to put just a little bit on the apples and pears. It's kind of like a syrup. All right. And we don't need another spoon. I need a smaller one though. Right. This probably, and let's just make sure that clean. Let's grab something very important. Did that thing turn off on you again?
Yes.
First week it didn't turn off. This is a Pinot Gris. Alright. So, high crust. Let's see what it looks like. Right, so everything's in the chicken. It's done. For all intents and purposes, the chicken is done. Oh, okay, I didn't realize it was done. So I already put a piece of parchment paper on the sheet pan. If you don't have parchment paper in your pantry, maybe give it a quick spray. I would get in the habit of keeping some around. It's really useful. We do bacon in the oven. It's a great way to cook bacon. It's probably the best way to cook bacon. It's cleaner, and the bacon cooks really nice and evenly as well. So I have some parchment paper down, and I'm saying 4 people. So let's see what happens with the one roll of dough. Oh, I keep the dish. So how many pods? So if I fold this over, am I just gonna make one? I think I'm just gonna make one. I forgot. I was thinking buff bacon. It usually comes rectangular, so I can cut squares. It's easier. So I think I like the drier side. So I'm gonna put this down. We'll wait till that cools off a little bit more. There's a pastry brush behind you. There. Let's check on the chicken. I'm gonna turn it down, still bubbling pretty hard. So,
Oh, shut up.
oh what?
Just shut up.
So this is bubbling a little hard, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And I'm going to start using one of these spoons, but I'm going to leave it out. And I'm just making sure it's not sticking on the bottom. It's not. It's smelling good. You smell peppers, onions, and tomatoes, a little wine, and the herbs. So I turn it down again a little bit. All right, we're going to go back over here. And I decided just to go with one pie instead of a little individual. So I want this to cool a little bit more, so we'll wait on that for a second. It's not so much because of that. I think we'll just let it wait for a second. All right. So the chicken is all set. We browned it. Then we added the vegetables, cooked it kind of tender. Added the garlic. Added the chicken back in. White wine, chicken broth, tomatoes, some more herbs, red pepper flakes, and let it simmer. Let it simmer. It's tender. Apples and pears, sauteed them in butter and brown and white sugar. Add a little citrus juice. I used lime juice. I think I said lemon juice. And then added some spices. I used allspice, ginger, and cinnamon. And you can add whatever you like in that realm, right? Cloves, some people like. And whatever you can think of in that realm would be delicious. And nutmeg, if you had nutmeg, that would be good. I don't have any nutmeg around right now, so I didn't add any nutmeg. And ready to go. And I use pre-made pie dough, pie crust, but if you like making it, make it. And we're going to build this in just a second. And then once I fold over a little section of it, and you can Google like rustic apple pie or whatever, and you'll find probably, you've seen them, I think Big Wise uses Lyman orchards. And the pies you'll see are open; they're not covered, and there's no pie tin. Okay, and not a tartlet. That's a different dough. Typically, when we make, when I think of a traditional French tartlet, I think of a sugar dough. So this is with their traditional pie crust that we use, called pâte brisée, and we used to do it on puff pastry actually, just because it was easy to buy pretty good puff pastry and use that in the freezer as I needed to. All right. Oops. I didn't put out enough side toppings today. There we go. So we got a nice simmer. Oh, it wants to look at me. It doesn't want to look at the tomatoes. So we got a nice simmer going. I'm going to go just a little. I'm down to 2. That's how low it is. All right. So that'll be delicious. And let's go back and build the pie. All right. So I'm thinking I want to keep it probably in the middle here, so I can bring it up. I have a sense this is a little bigger than I need. Okay, so I don't want all the juice in there. I'll save it though, because I bet, and we don't have any, but I bet some vanilla ice cream next time. I've been avoiding those things like that, so I end up eating saltines and peanut butter jelly at night when I want to snack. And sometimes some extra produce. I was talking to Julie, and she's going to be doing some coaching about nutrition and making changes. And so one of the things I'm trying to avoid is, at least I am, is trying to buy like snacks, like potato chips. So I'm holding it at an angle to let the juices roll down here so we don't have as many inside. As much. Okay, so I think so for these 4 fruit, right? The one sheet of pie crust seems to be just working out well. And that, I bet, is delicious. Can you imagine that over some vanilla ice cream? We might have to make a run. So, try to make it level. Okay. So I can bring it over. Maybe like that. Kind of crimping it. Might go back and crimp it a little more. And on this. that feels good. And I'm going to get away with water. You can use an egg if you want. But usually when we make more of these, I would use an egg wash the dough. And there's nothing to worry about because that's simmering. You can set it and forget it literally. Like, what was that thing you could buy? I didn't see that. So I'm going to sprinkle some sugar. This will add some crunch to it. And it'll be delicious. I'm going to give it one more. If you have, there's like special larger granulated sugar is really good. I'm going to give it just a little more cinnamon on top, just because I want to. And I'm going to especially put it around the sides. Okay. And I preheated the oven a while ago to 400 degrees, and hopefully this bad boy will come out and be tasty. I'm going to put it on the bottom shelf. I have a baking steel and a stone in there, so sometimes the baking steel seems a little hot, and I just move them. And I also rotate. About halfway through cooking, I like to rotate my product, whatever is in the oven. Alrighty. I think, other than seeing the final product, we're done. Are there any thoughts? Anything I can think of? So in this one, there's nothing really left over. I guess if I had leftover chicken cacciatore from today, and let's say I served it one way or the other, with or without a starch, then I might tomorrow pull it off of the bone if I have leftover and serve it some other way. So you could have this, take it off the bone, whatever's left over, and I could put it, if I didn't use pasta today, I might use pasta tomorrow. Or if I use pasta today, I might have it with a slice of bread toasted in the oven tomorrow. Are you reading my text messages?
Yeah, it was a crazy one.
So what else could I do with it? Serve it on rice, I said, right? And I guess if you really wanted to, let's just say you had a bucket of chicken, like minestrone soup, you could easily pull the meat off and take the leftover sauce, because it's peppers, onions, and tomatoes, and add it to your minestrone to give it a little more body to it. Even if it was out of the can, that would be a really good way to work with that. So normally I would have all my ingredients set up. I would have them cut, ready to go, and then I would go cooking. And I think that's it. It's only been 35, 40 minutes. I started a little earlier, just talking, waiting for people to show up. We'll go to the chicken. I'll take a dinner fork, but I guarantee you it's not ready. And I want these to be more about how I work in the kitchen, and so you get an understanding of that, and it might help you, be a little more efficient at home. This was actually a pretty easy meal. If you think about it, this could be a meal that we could have done with Oscar at least, right? The 5-year-old.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I mean...
He could have chopped.
Yeah, he could have easily chopped.
With a special knife. There's
a tool that my daughter uses with her kids, and they use it at the school they go to. It's very firm still. And it's like a crinkle cutter. It looks like the size of, a little bigger than this, say, and it's crinkly this way, so you push down, and it's got a nice wooden handle, so it's really easy for them to use, and there's no risk of them cutting themselves. So you easily could have done those vegetables with that crinkle cutter. I think that's it.
And the apples.
Oh yeah, of course, the apples. That would be easy to do. The dough is pre-made, or you could have had dough making with them. And given what's going on right now, I might actually make the dough with the kids, right? That's all I got. All right, ciao. Can you press stop there, someone?
Yeah.
Do this one.